There aren't many faces people are excited to see first thing in the morning before they've even had their coffee. But the McDonald's drive-thru workers who take your order on the way to work have almost all of those faces.
Because nothing brings more joy in the morning than a 99-cent any-size iced coffee. Pair it with the glazed pull-apart donut for a truly great morning. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Only available until 11 a.m.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hi there, I am Adam Kirbas, and you are listening to another episode of my podcast. As you know, we will continue our inquiry into rationality. I have indeed some sort of changed the structure of the course or our inquiry a little bit. I will try to bring up more examples which I think is important to understand rationality, and of course very common examples. So we will continue today with the prisoner's dilemma. I have some sort of worked out some variations of this dilemma in that sense to really prove and work out rationality. We will as well as talk about many forms of rationality. I will firstly talk about the first scenario of the prison dilemmas. There are more I have prepared, and then thereafter I will briefly introduce those three forms of rationality. They are very in general. This is true. They are general. However, I will not go too much into detail, rather work through those examples, and then later on we will I will inquire and work out what any types of rationality is about in detail, because I think it is a better approach than now to strike everyone with philosophical words and philosophical meanings, which I think would be misleading, since I hope that there are non-philosophers among you who are listening to this podcast as well. Now we will talk about a little bit of the prisoner dilemma, and I will just assume that some of you may not heard about it. I will just start from the ground zero. We will just continue like we did before. Imagine you are a bank robber. Well, you are, let's say, low on money. You don't know how to make ends meet, and you are not the kind of guy who can work from 9 to 5. This is for you demeaning. Whatever it is, you know that you are not going to become wealthy with just working normal hours. You are against this philosophy. This is whatever people say about work, that you would some sort of feel fulfilled in your work, while this does not count for you. You have not had the experience. Whatever it is, you know that bank robbery, well, even though things have changed, it is not that easy anymore to rob a bank, or you won't get much money because no one pays, or only a few still continue paying cash. However, let's assume this is a bank which still some sort of runs a lot on cash, and you have set your eyes on one bank and you want to rob it, but you have one issue, and this is you need an accomplice. Well, you try to find an accomplice around in your neighborhood, someone you trust, but you were not successful, so you had to ask someone else, and someone was suggested to you, your accomplice in this robbery. This is very important in our first scenario. You do not very much know this guy with whom you are going to rob this bank, so this will be significant for our first dilemma. However, you come together with this new guy. You arrange a split 50-50, whatever, and you pull that heist off. It was successful. The police suspect you, but they do not have hard evidence against you. So they have, for a fact, nothing against you. However, some sneaky policeman, he some sort of suspects it was you. People are talking. Some people just can't get their mouth shut. However, they bust you. They bust you for some minor issue, like, I don't know, you did not pay attention to traffic lights. You overtook at a intersection. Assumably, this is some offense in the U.S. as well. However, they bust you, and while they bust you, they put you into an interrogation room, and they start questioning and they start questioning you about the heist, and you pretty much understand where this is going. However, while they are questioning you, you are pretty much known to interrogations. You are pretty much secure and have, I don't know, went through a couple of interrogations without losing your mind or without losing your cool. So you know, or pretty much grasp immediately that the police has nothing against you. They only want to lay a ruse, some sort of get you to confess. The police even offers you, when you confess and snitch on the other, well, you will get easy, or you will do almost no time at all. And if you say the other is the one and you are just his disciple, then you will, not get scot-free, but you will some sort of do just little time, 2 or 3 years, while the other gets 10, 15, whatever have you. However, in this very moment, when this some sort of bargain is offered to you, you understand one thing, and this is that you actually do not know your accomplice. You do not know him. You do not know whether he will snitch or he will not snitch. Because you didn't grow up with this guy, you don't know it, he was just suggested to you as a decent man, and you say, well, maybe this other guy may not sniff out this ruse the police has planned. You know they don't have nothing, and you know, if you two keep your mouth shut, you get out of this jail-free, scot-free. You can just walk out of the police station, whatever. But you are not sure whether the other guy will break. You don't know him. You don't know whatever. Now you get scared that the other might break, especially if you keep your mouth shut. The other incriminates you and you only, because you have planned the heist, which is partially true. You have some sort of the brain power, and the other one just brought in the muscles. However, then you realize one thing, and this is that you better incriminate the other out of self-protection. This is rational. Rational, because you cannot be sure that the other guy, whom again we repeat us, this is very important, that you do not know the other guy. You do not know how he's going to react, and you assume, well, he will break, he will not understand the rules, he will break. So the smartest thing you can do there is to snitch on the other. Just to say, or not snitching, but you just incriminate the other. This is out of self-protection. You say, well, I don't know this guy, and now we some sort of get away secure instead of, or we take it secure. We do not know if the other snitches or if the other says it was all me, I go to jail for a long time. Instead, if I snitch on the other, or if I incriminate the other, it was all the other, it was the other guy's plan, I was forced to it, whatever have you, I will get jail free. So you do this. This is the first scenario of prison dilemma. Now I will some sort of briefly, before we come to a second scenario, I will briefly talk about forms of rationality. Here in this first form, we can grasp in a way that this is some sort of individual rationality. This is on an individual basis. To make it plain to you, put your own fate at first, how you come up. And this works a lot with rational choice theory. I mean, I have written down some key issues of or key components of the rational choice theory. And in the rational choice theory says firstly that people have full insight into all possible choices and into all possible outcomes. Of course, this is a bit questionable in our prison dilemma. Well, you do not know it for sure, but you assume it. So, however, but this is rational choice. You have full insight in all your choices you have and what these choices will lead to. Assumably, again, it is not so in reality. Assumably. Then the second part is that you individually calculated for your own benefit. So you some sort of put yourself at first, and the outcome of an action. This is the key issue of rational choice. The outcome of an action, of your choices, is according to your preferences and to your liking. So, and you some sort of, this is again something very questionable, so that in every decisions you some sort of calculate the costs and the benefits, and then you make this decision according to that. So, well, of course, in our prison dilemma, you calculate, what is your worst outcome, and the worst outcome is that the other guy, again, whom you do not know, may incriminate you and you alone, and then you would be fully charged or have to take the full time of jail. So this is one time of your calculation, and the other time of your calculation is, if we just keep our mouths shut, we go free. And the third time of your calculation is, if I incriminate the other, it does not mean that it's true or not, but if I incriminate the other guy, then I will then I will only do a little time. This is, if you want, the prisoner dilemma, or in a way very easy one, which has been said, or which has been told in many or in many philosophical courses. Then the second type of rationality, this is what we talked about yesterday. This is about biological rationalism. You some sort of put your own life again in the center, but this is about survival. This is survival about the group. This is survival. This is something what some may call as irrational, that you are on a remote island and there is a beautiful, attractive woman, and she is actually someone who competes with you for scarce resources, but instead of getting rid of her, you let her live, or even father children with whatever have you. This is biological rationalism, that you in a way ensure your survival, that you pass on your genes to the next generation, to make it very simple and plain. This is what it is. So you do not think much of it, but this is something we have innate in us, and we follow. There are a lot of people who are in dire financial situations, and yet they still have a father, children, or whatever. And this is not about dire situation as well, but this is some sort of, we have an innate biological desire to pass our genes to the next generation. This is how human evolution all worked. We will later on someday talk about whether always the best genes are passed on. However, but you some sort of feel this urge. And the third form of rationality is some sort of a social rationalism. This is or a social rationality. This is what we talked about previously, about gender, about culture, that every social class, every social milieu has some sort of values or do's and don'ts, some behavior which is approved, some behavior which is considered as manly, as whatever have you, as good, as something that is expected from you in every social milieu you are, whether you are a worker, whether you are from the middle class, whether your parents are educated, or whether you are religious. Every group, there is some behavior which has been considered rational. It is logic. It follows the logic of this group, of this thing, and it is predictable. It is not your own preferences, but it is partially, or let's say partially, of the group. So to make it simply, you can read the rational behavior of an individual, of a group, when you some sort of analyze the group. For example, if you are part of a religious community, it is rational for you to go every Sunday on a church. If you would not attend there, you would some sort either be chided, you could some sort of lose acknowledgement within the society, you could some sort of end up outcasted. So there's always win and loss in a social community. This is very important. So you, in this sense, if you want, you calculate the win and loss of this in a community, or whether you could fall out with a group, whether you could fall out with the people, whether you could fall out with your peer group or whatever. Let's say, this is very common, you and your people are either in a band. This is actually very common. You are in a band, you make music, rock music. That's, as far as me concerned, the only real music. The other things are all crap. However, you make music, and then you, as a band, want, of course, equally share recognition. You work there, but I know this is not always easy. There is a lot of trouble going on, and so on and so on. But you are some sort of a group, so clique, and so on. And you then will try to be part of this group, part of this band. You don't want to fall out of it. You don't want to be too egoistic. Some sort of this happens too. We all know. We all know a lot of bands where mostly it's the lead singer who some sort of act very egoistically, and then destroy the band, or some sort of fall out with the other guys. And this is as well as true with your peer groups. If you want to have, or if you want to accomplish a task, you always, or partially, will have to put yourself back in order to accomplish something meaningful, or in order to accomplish something. It all depends on what you have. I mean, in school, if you work on a project, then everyone will have to share some sort of a common goal, but as well as everyone will have to contribute to a common goal, because then you could some sort of get chided for outcasted. You can get bad mark. You could be excluded from a group or from a religious community if you do not follow the guidelines of your religious community. You could be some sort of bander and so on. So you, in this social rationality, you calculate the benefits as well as the losses of your decision for the community, because assuming that we are social human beings, every human being is a social human being. Or if you want to take Aristotle's definition, so political being, so you are part of a society, whatever, a group, and you want to be part of this group. You don't want to fall out of it, and you will some sort of try to be part of it, and being part of it as well as means that you have some sort of well, I would not say sacrifices, but you have to take your egoism a little bit back in order to make things work. So we will leave it there. So I will not go too much in the detail. However, like I said, this is some sort of, in general, those three forms of rationalism which I see in all these upcoming scenarios. And then later on, after we had our literary analysis of Lord of the Flies, we will then go into more detail about these forms of rationality. However, in our first example of this prisoner dilemma, the guy you do not know, you have no special bond to him, so social rationalism does not apply. You don't know them, you don't have any friendly relationships to that guy, he's not your relative, so you assume that he will snitch on you. And biologically it is not given. So let's say this would be like Bonnie and Clyde. You, I don't know, have children with her, so, or even a family. Let's say this is Bonnie and Clyde, then they would not snitch on each other because they have either a sexual desire for each other, or they fear that they could be separated. So Bonnie and Clyde, if they would rob a bank, then they will some sort of act in a way rational, where they would thereafter meet again. Let's assume they do. They love each other. Let's assume they desire each other. Let's assume they want to have children. So in biological rationalism is family in the foreground, and there is a love couple who robbed the bank, and then you will assume that they will act in a rational way with the goal of meeting each other. One example, for example, that they can be with each other, and anything that works against it would be considered from the perspective of this love couple as irrational, or anything that could destroy the future of life. This is how we some sort of try to loosely define biological rationalism, the future, the reproduction of life. You want to pass on your genes, and if your spouse, the one person you think you cannot do without, is in prison, well, you will struggle to make father children. With assuming this is in the US, where you are not allowed to leave prison on weekends. However, so in the first example we identified this is individual rationalism. So you can pretty much say nothing is left for you but to think of your own kind, of your own skin, and you some sort of snitch or just incriminate the other. Say, well, it was him. So now we have the second scenario. Again, it is about bank robbery. You are a bank robber, but this time you work with someone you know. This is your best friend, this is your family member, what have you. This can be as well as your spouse. So you know this person. There is a special bond with you and this person. You grew up together, you go back, I don't know, you went to the same church together. We will talk about religion later. However, you have a special bond with this person, and you are interested in that you some sort of maintaining this friendship. You have an interest in maintaining this love relationship with her spouse, or with him, whatever have you. So there is a him-her love relationship. You have a desire, you have an interest that you get through this. You still love her, or if this is a friend, you want to maintain this friendship. You know each other's parents, you grew up together, and so on and so on. So this is what we some sort of left out in our remote Iceland discussion, because it would some sort of be too central. Of course, no one is going to eat eat or kill his best friend on an island. Let's hope sane people do not do that. However, but in our now to continue our second scenario, this important key difference is this time you know your kind and your rational and your rationale in that sense is that you firstly succeed in the heist, and then secondly thereafter be together, live together, be friends, be lovers, whatever have you. Now again you pull the heist off, was successful. Again the police has a hunch which leads to you, and again they bust you and they start inquiring you. But this time things have changed. You know, again, that the police has laid a ruse. You know, they didn't have nothing against you, but again, you may or may not assume that your spouse knows or does not know whether it is a ruse. This is some sort of left open. Well, you're not sure about it. Does the guy you trust, he may be naive or he may be, but you some sort of assume, well, he maybe do not know whether this is a ruse of the laid by a very clever detective. He may not know. However, but you trust one thing, and this is something which is not seen there, which was not there in our first example, and this is that you have a special bond with your spouse, with your friend, and so on. And there you see that his rationale would be that he would not incriminate you because he wants to meet you after. To say it very simple, this is your lover, this is your wife you love, this is your man you love, what have you, and you assume that he loves you and he want to see you thereafter, or want to be together with you, continue with you, maintain this relationship together. This same as with friends. You assume that he may not detect the ruse, but that he is pretty much interested in maintaining this friendship, and he would not do anything against the friendship. This is very tricky indeed, because everyone would immediately assume, whatever it is, this guy, this other guy who is your friend, who is a thing, would act immediate, individually, rational, so save his own skin. This is what we would assume in the prison dilemma, but this is not the case in our second scenario, because the bond or the trust, or let's start in that way. You went into this heist in the first place because you wanted to only go with someone you trusted, you grew up with. This is something which you set yourself as a criteria. This is someone I know, this is someone I trust, and if things go south, we know each other. This is how you went in the heist. And the second thing is that you some sort of calculate not only to save your own skin, but you as well as calculate the loss of falling out of a special relationship. Because if this is your friend, if this is your best friend, if you don't have anyone besides him, outside him or her, then you would lose something valuable. This is in your calculation, and which was not in your calculation before. Or the second thing is, this is the woman or the man you love dearly. You are Bonnie and Clyde cannot live without Bonnie, and Bonnie cannot live without Clyde. So you say, well, is there a meaning in my life without her? Do I find happiness and joy? Will I ever find happiness and joy without her? And this is part of your calculation. And if this is part of your calculation, there's a reasonable outcome that you would not snitch at each other, or that you would not incriminate each other because of the loss of this relationship. That thus, in our second example of rationality, we some sort of called it biological rationality, but as well as it is as well as a social rationality because of friendship. This is if this is the guy, let's say, who came from the same hood like you, who some sort of you grew up with each other, and we will come to that shortly. You some sort of do not incriminate or snitch at each other. So in our second example, you would, for an individual rationalist, act irrationally, but from a social and biological perspective, you would act rationally. This is very important. So we have to call this rationality as well, because you have to understand this from your perspective, but this is not, again, from individual perspective, but rather from a small group and so on. So now we have a third scenario, and this is some sort of, we will the group, more focus on the group. Let's say in our third scenario, you are a mobster. You are part of organized crime. This is a group. These are people. This is not only about one or two people. This is a lot of people. You have a codex. This is still been done, assumably. Well, I don't have any connections to organized crime, at least not I know of. However, assumably there is a codex, and you some sort of be honorable man. And in this mobster group, you are just a normal soldier, and you are being ordered to either ordered or you come to an agreement with another fellow mobster who is part of this crew. So these mobster families are part of a crew or part of a family. You are part of an organized crime family, whatever the name of this family is, and you some sort of decide to make a heist. Again, the bank robbery, it's the same bank. It all works out well. And again, the police has a ruse. This is a clever detective who has been surveilling this mobster family, and they are well known for armed robberies or for bank robberies. They assume it's you, but they don't have anything concrete against you. So they bust you. You are the smart one, let's say, or you again pretty much realize that a ruse. This is again, they are doing this quite often, and that you some sort of get scot-free if you just keep your mouth shut. This is pity. And you, in that sense, will assume that the other guy will shut his mouth too. This is something different from previously one, because now you have more factors which play into your calculation. If you're a mobster, and if you know that you snitch on your fellow mobsters, firstly, of course, you could fall out of the group because you just snitch once and then you are done. So you could then fall out of the group. You could then be not part of this family anymore. And they are in these mobster families. They are very close ties with each other. So this is not that easy. Or this is a huge thing, that you could fall out of this family. The second thing is that you have to calculate is that fear, or that you put your life under danger. Because if you snitch on a fellow mobster, they will come for you. This is what we assume, because you never know. There are a lot of corpses in the cellar of some mobster families, and they then will fear, well, if you some sort of snitch on one bank robbery, you may as well as snitch on many things. You could become a police informant, whatever have you. So this then gets pretty much scary. And you know that if they find out that you snitched on them, that they could make your life a living hell. You know that. You have a fear for the second thing. And you know that the other guy has this fear as well. You know, in this sense, that you are in this social bond you are in. You have a social bond with each other. You know that the other guy must feel the same as you as well, that he is part of the family, and that he has to fear for his life if he snitches. This is some sort of a social fear you have. And the third thing is, of of course, all you are a soldier, yes, but you have a family as well. Your family is outside, and your family is some sort of could then face severe punishments according to your behavior, according to your action. This is again some sort of biological, social. In that sense, that if you snitch, that your family could pay the price for it. This is all part of your calculation. You most certainly or could not save your family. Your family is in the hands of the mobsters, whatever have you. But this is some serious stuff. So if you are in this interrogation room, this is something which goes through your mind. Well, if I snitch against this guy, well, I could end up, or this could end up severely. For myself, if I go to prison, there are mobsters everywhere. Mobsters in prison, they would let me pay severely for my betrayal. So going to jail as a mobster after you have snitched is not an option. You know that. And you know that the other guy knows it too. So the price is something agreed on, something you know. Because this is not, or let's put it plainly, this is not that you some sort of know what the other guy is, or that you know the other guy, or whether he figures out the rules, or whether he's smart or whatever. No, this is about your social embeddment. This is about your social class, about your social group, your peer group, and so on. And if you know that the other fellow mobster is part of this social group, and you know that he knows the do's and don'ts of this social group, and this is you do not snitch, or you pay a heavy price for it. So as a mobster, snitching on your fellow mobsters is, and then going to jail, even if it is for 1 year or 1 week or whatever, well, they would get rid of you either way, and your life is gone. And you know that you would have a high loss, because you then would be excluded of this family. So this is a loss you calculate, but as well as you calculate some sort of, if you want to say, you have some sort of an altruistic calculation, and this is that you care for your family, and you ask yourself in this interrogation room, well, if I snitch now, they will probably come after my family. What is going to happen to them? And this is a special bond you have. This is like in our second example, with your friend. You want to maintain the relationship with your friend, with your spouse. You want to meet again. You want to see again. You want to I don't know, father children go on a vacation, maybe at the and maybe end up at a remote island, where from our yesterday's example, whatever you have. However, you want to maintain it. You want to some sort of meet again. Let's say it simple. And this all plays into your calculation. Fear, loss, the loss of a family, the loss of being a part of a group, as well as the loss of falling out of love, and so on. So then you see that the advantages of keeping your mouth shut outweighs the disadvantages. Yes, so what? You may go to jail, but however, you do not fall out of these bonds. These are very important bonds. They are part of your identity, and you will try to do everything to maintain it. And here in this example is our rationale. In our third example, or in addition to this rationale, you some sort of assume, or can presume how the others will react as well. Even though every individual has singular preferences, even though every individual is unique, yes, true. However, through this understanding of this social group you are, so you understand at least your own social group. You may not understand others, however, and you know what people expect to you, and so on. So you would not. And as well as we have should talk about this is as well as manliness as well. This is something you have in mobster families as well. So you are a man. You are you are a strong man. You are a soldier. You have sworn oath. This is your word on it. You have given your blood for it, and because of this you do not snitch. So this may be solely about manlyhood as well. So about masculinity as well. So we are real men and we do not snitch against them and so on. Or if you are, let's say, from the hoods, you must not, and you some sort of have a criminal organization, and there's ethnicity plays a crucial part. This plays in biology as well. So if you're, let's say, if you're both criminals, if you are bank robbers and you are both, let's say, Asian, you have some sort of a perception of us versus them. This race perception, this biological reception plays as well a part in your decision. So this will mean we will stick together, as well as if you are not black, or if you're well, I don't know, white and so on. So this race consideration, which is part, and then we will have to say biologically rational. So you act according to it, to your appearance, your biology, or as well as women. So this could be as well if there are two women born criminals, born dictators. I watched a movie once with Selma Hayek and Penelope Cruz, two attractive female criminals. They may have a connection as well. They do not have to be Latinos. They can be white, black, Asian, whatever you have. However, so that if these bonds play are crucial, but these bonds are crucial as well. So how you consider and the important thing here is, in our third example, is that you can assume how the other one can react, because you belong to the same social group. This is what this was all about. So these are I have prepared more examples. We will continue with them tomorrow, and I hope that you are all doing fine. It is November. It is a rainy day here in Ordu in Turkey. We are still in the pandemic. Please take care of yourself and the people around you. Act.
It's finally time to start firing up the grill. From city to shore, Acme is everything you need to prep for this summer season. Download the Acme app to shop for this season's essentials any way you want. Open the Acme app, clip your deals, then order your items online. An experienced Acme associate will carefully select your groceries, bag your order, and bring it right to your car or deliver right to your door. Download the app or visit acmemarkets.com for program details.